Hey all, here at OS Reviews, you're watching our hands-on review of the 10 Audio T2. These are in-ear monitors, they're audiophile grade, that promise hi-fi resolution, and they sell for under 50 bucks, so they're pretty inexpensive. Now we are a little bit late to the party in the sense that these were released a few months back, and 10 Audio has actually already released the T3, but I just stumbled across them recently after seeing lots of glowing feedback from audio enthusiasts and audiophiles. So I was really curious because, again, they are pretty low cost. Now the packaging here is quite simple, but inside there's a pretty premium synthetic leather casing that says 10 HiFi, despite, again, the really low price, and you open it up magnetically. We also have the company's logo. There's a quick instruction manual documented in Chinese as well as in English, and then we have just the ear tips, and these connect using a detachable MMCX cable, so it is going to be removable if the cable fries or breaks. Now there are two things I want to point out. First, in terms of technical specs, these are dual driver ear tips, so there are two dynamic drivers on each of the ear tips, but there is no balanced armature. Otherwise, the frequency range, as you can see here, is from 12 to 40,000 hertz, just extremely wide, and has a carbon fiber textured 3.5mm heavy plug. The second thing I want to point out is that these kind of baby blue colored memory foam tips, which are included, are some of the stickiest that I've come across. But even with a piece of paper like the instruction manual pressed against it and lifting it up, it kind of almost wants to stick to it. So it's not quite as, matte in terms of its texture as some of the other memory foam tips that I've come across recently, maybe by Comply. And then aside from the detachable 3.5mm auxiliary cable, which is braided and has a very cool texture to it, we also have spare silicone tips. Now the silicone tips will improve the bass response of earphones in general, so if you are more of a bass head, you would probably want to use these, or if you're using them for sports or exercising, these are going to be more wear resistant. Alright, so from first impressions, the design is beautiful. It definitely looks like something that's much more expensive than the price would suggest. You know, expensive IEMs, audiophile gear can retail for hundreds of dollars, so this definitely matches the overall design language. It's very premium. This kind of oversized 3.5mm plug with that delicate carbon fiber texture, gold-plated, is just extremely easy to just plug in and plug out because of how large it is. There's even kind of a bead which is acting as the splitter for the left and right for the ear tips, which you can control by shifting it higher or lower so that it doesn't get tangled as easily for the wires. The wire itself, as aforementioned, is made out of this braided texture that prevents itself from getting damaged as easily, and also the kind of ear tips themselves, the MMCX connector is almost transparent, which creates a very cool kind of see-through effect. The ear tips are made out of this aluminum material, which feels extremely sturdy, and overall, again, this very vibrant baby blue color. The only downsides are, number one, it doesn't have an inline remote, nor does it have a microphone. So unlike consumer grade earphones, which you can plug to an Android or iPhone, that you can't really use these for answering phone calls. Also, the angular design of these are more similar to regular earphones than kind of the artist teardrop style IEMs that we've seen previously, which are a bit more snug, maybe having a wing or something that makes them harder to fall out. These are still more of a kind of a plug-in design. Moving into audio quality and performance, luckily they sound as good as they look. They are very neutral sounding, especially with these foam tips. In particular, these are just extremely articulate, extremely crisp, and giving you lots of details with the mids and the highs, the treble. So you can hear, the texture of someone's voice. You can hear different layers and just different intricacies of a song that you've really never noticed before. So that's extremely impressive, in my opinion, especially if you're listening to acoustic type tracks. Now, as aforementioned, you can use these silicone tips if you do want to punch up the bass a little bit more. It becomes a bit more articulated. Overall, you get a very expressive and just wide soundstage, and it never really distorts. So even if you're listening to tracks with like a lot of treble in it, it never becomes screechy or uncomfortable. So for 50 bucks, these are definitely one of the best, if not the best, IEMs that I've tested, both in terms of the design, just looking very distinctive and well constructed, but also with the sound. You just get lots of details, especially again in mids and highs. So if you're looking for kind of a neutral sounding pair of earbuds, if you want something that's kind of high-res audio, hi-fi, then these are definitely a pair that's worth looking at without really breaking the bank. Now, you technically can also wear them upside down and loop this over the back of your ear and make kind of a wing out of it. I found it to actually be decent, so it's not uncomfortable if I wore it upside down. So they are pretty flexible. The earphones themselves, even though they are made out of a very durable aluminum, are also surprisingly lightweight. So you can definitely wear these for pretty long periods of time without noticing any stress or strain, even though the shape of the body is not something that's going to be the most ergonomic on paper that I've seen. You can check out more details if interested in links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the 10 Audio T2.